You just tuned it in. Global and worldwide. Hitting you on the one with no delay. Because it's the Fighter's Voice. The Fighter's Voice. With your fighting host, Richard Ortiz. And the formidable co-host, Mr. Cole Escovedo.
Here we go.
Remember, every fighter has a voice.
Fresno, California, we're live here in Mad Production Studios. I'm your host, Richard Ortiz of the Fighter's Voice and Knockout Podcast. My co-host, UFC veteran Cole Escovedo, is on assignment and will join us tomorrow when we have guest Stephanie Frosto. She's going to talk to us about living in the UFC house and how the conversation went with her and Dana White. I like when it sounds like Dana White. I mean, the man never comes out, man. I mean, he's just kind of, he's like, KP, he's like the guy behind the curtain. Like on The Wizard of Oz, he doesn't exist. Almost kind of like Al Heyman. I mean, he'll show up to press conferences, but when it comes to, that fine line, hey, man, it's hard to get a hold of him. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's guest, man, I don't even know where to start. I mean, when he first started in Fresno, he was just a pup, and now he's a pit bull, biting on every opportunity that comes his way. And making opportunities. When people say it's not going to happen, that means to this man, it is going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only who put Central Valley on the map and now is worldwide promoter manager, Mr. Rick Mirigian. Welcome to the show, Rick.
What's up, Richard? Thanks. Cole, what's up?
Yeah, actually, Cole's on assignment. He'll be joining us here shortly. You know the way Cole is, man. He'll just come crashing through that cage. Hey, we talked a little bit off camera, off air, right before we started, and I said, "Hey, how's everything going?" And it's like you're barely coming up, man, just to breathe. You're constantly moving and grinding, and you hinted about, fourth time's a charm about I'm assuming the big fight coming up, and that's August 29th, MGM Grand, the WBC WBO junior welterweight champion of the world, and that's Jose Ramirez. How are things looking? Is everything in place as we speak?
So everything's in place just like it was the prior four times. What most people don't understand is that, the fight's not done until they're walking into the ring and it's about to happen. So before that, I get all kinds of, hey, congratulations, this and that. I mean, I had people sending me messages back in February when Jose was set to fight when I was at the airport, and I'm like, don't congratulate me yet. I said that, a lot of stuff can happen. I've seen everything happen so far, from guys almost dying at the weigh-in to things, happening that cancel the show. And so, for someone in my position, there's really no sleep. There's no relaxation. You have nothing but anxiety and stress until that moment comes when you're walking to the ring and the fight happens. So, as you can tell, it's not done until it's done.
We talk about a fighter going through adversity, and you share with us as a manager what you face. But, let's talk about Jose Ramirez. We're talking about a young fighter who is just now entering his prime, who has to put the switch on, turn it off, start all over, put it back on, turn it off. So mentally, he's seen everything in boxing. So he's mentally one of the strongest fighters ever to step into the ring.
Yeah, mentally, he's a world champion. Mentally also. If I was Jose, I'd be mad as hell. I'd be in a bad mood, but he has kept a great attitude about stuff and just been optimistic. For a fighter to train four times for one fight, 4 camps is unprecedented. I don't think it's ever happened in the history of the sport where one guy trains 4 times for the same fight. So he has handled it like a true professional, like he is, and I just have the utmost respect for him. Like I said, I can't handle it the same way.
Well, I've seen you at the fights, the weigh-ins, and just leading up. You're there, but your mind is spinning. You're constantly thinking. It's like when everybody's physically moving, you're doing the same thing, but just mentally. It's not that you don't see them. You're looking right through them because, like you said, until the fighters are I can't even say to walk in the ring, Rick, until they're actually announced.
Yeah,
you can kind of exhale.
Yeah, that's how it was this time. I was at an airport getting bags checked in, getting ready to go to China, and got a call to come home, fights off. Then I came home depressed as can be, literally, because it's been a year since Jose had fought, at the time, basically. So, I come home, and it's like, what do I do now? So I made a play at getting the fight to Fresno. And that fight, China was paying, I think, $2 or $3 million to host it over there.
Russia came second, right? On the bidding? Was it Russia that came second?
Yeah, Russia bid, China bid, but long story short, they had a 7-figure site fee to go to China. So when we came back to Fresno and it was canceled, I'm like, I can't get this to Fresno. But I made a run at it, and I called Aram. I spent a week negotiating and got the rights to put on the fight in Fresno and me promoted for Jose. And off I went. Sold, basically the arena was sold out in 48 hours. It did the highest, gross that we could do that fast ever, and then had a ton of sponsors. And then, as you know, that got canceled. Losing all the money to advertise the fight, all the work that I did to promote the fight gone and flushed. And then the fight was off. Then we were looking at June to do the fight again. And Postal couldn't get into the United States at the time. There was a travel ban. While other guys were fighting at the MGM in the bubble, we couldn't fight because we couldn't get the opponent into the United States. So that kicked us into, another round now that you're aware of, which is the August fight. Now that fight here, August 29th, I had approval to do that here in the Valley as well. I had, a casino, Chick-Chansey, Gold Resort and Casino. They stepped up to host the fight up there, and I actually had the Madera County Board of Supervisors in writing approve the fight with a variance, meaning we would have 200 people spaced out, on tables, watching the fight, which was a home run miracle in this environment. So had the casino signed off, created what would be a bubble at Chick-Chansey I worked on. So then the governor locked the state down again, as 20 days ago. That canceled that one. So that's why we are going to Las Vegas now, and the fight will be there. So just a roller coaster of emotions and work that, is for nothing at some point. But, I always look at it this way. My mentality is you got to do everything you can at any given point so that if you look in the mirror, you can tell yourself, hey, look, you did everything you could with this situation, and then go to sleep. I don't feel good knowing that I could have did this or I could have did that, so I'd rather try, do all I can, and then have it fail outside of my control just so I know I tried. So that's been our scenario leading into this.
Well, it has been a roller coaster, and actually, you've been doing all the work, but we're on there with you because we've been watching you. I've been watching your post, and actually, I love the way on the downtime how you reinvented yourself, because I'm already thinking if something happens and there's no more boxing, Rick Mirigian's going to open up his own restaurant, because I see you making salsa, I see you making homemade pizza, I see you making homemade tamales. I mean, is that something you've always been accustomed to, or this downtime you just kind of picked it up?
No, to be honest with you, I do it to de-stress, and all jokes aside, like I do that to de-stress. It's like one of the things I do just to get my mind to settle down, and that's it. So I'll play around and cook and do that kind of stuff, just to handle stress.
No, well, you're doing a good job with it, and Jose is very fortunate to have you, that you're taking care of business constantly, and you know what you do. I mean, you're kind of immune to the fact of what you do. You know anything else but to do it the way you do it. Speaking of doing it, no problem. Speaking of doing it the way you do it, you continue to reinvent yourself. You continue to, like in modern days words, flip the script. Continue to surprise everybody. Everybody seems to be surprised except for yourself, because I know for a fact that even though we're talking, because I've had guests on the show and they'll make a comment like, I got to make a phone call later to a certain somebody. I don't dive into it, but I know constantly you're always working on something. There's always a rock that needs to be turned over or moved to the side. And I'm talking about hitting a grand slam. I mean, signing these youngsters, these prodigies, these future world champions. And you got one already, Joshua Franco. Talk to us about these young combatants that you got. You got Ruben Villa, you got Joshua Franco, Jonathan Navarro. You got to help me with Hector's last name, Hector Tanahara.
Yeah. So I try to stay constantly moving. Like if a shark stops swimming, it dies. So just as an analogy, I don't want to stop moving, because I think the same would happen to me. So during this off time, I've done some very large endorsement deals for Jose, very large. kept him very busy with ad campaigns and other things. And then I wanted to, make a move to expand a little bit. I wanted to challenge myself with, helping a few more guys. I did a lot for Flores, as you know, and accomplished that. And, I wanted to take on a few more challenges to myself. So, I was fortunate enough to sign a world champion, Franco at this point, and then Tanahara and Navarro. These guys are undefeated prospects. Tanahara will be in a world title fight most likely next. He's got a chance to fight Fortuna, as you know.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I've got Ruben Villa, who will be in a world title fight in his next fight, most likely against Navarrete with the WBO. So he's out of Salinas, California. Incredible fighter. I wanted him a long time ago, but he had a really screwed up situation there from a management standpoint and kind of the business standpoint. So I didn't get that chance. But, I was fortunate enough to reconnect with him, so it must be meant to be on that storefront. That's a big project for me, the Ruben Villa one. There's a large racetrack called the Laguna Seca Raceway out there in Salinas.
Yeah.
Without question, you will see what I did for Flores and Ramirez. The same with Ruben Villa out there. Huge fight market, huge fan base for him.
Absolutely. Salinas, that won't wait to get in the ring either. That's a fight down.
No. Yeah, it takes a promoter to do that, though. So I've already set the market up, made the calls. I've got the politicians, the business people, the racetrack on board. And, his campaign will start soon about him being the first world champion in Salinas and Monterey and Carmel history, which is incredible. And he's a good kid, period, and good personality. He's like Ramirez, just very soft-spoken, very, very hard-working. So, that project there, when COVID lifts, you're going to see another fight market done and developed. So I love that. Then the three kids, the exciting part about Franco, Tanahara, and Navarro, they're all from Texas, and they're all good friends. These guys all have a bond together. So, I've got some special plans there to promote those three as like a super group within the industry. When those three kids fight, you're going to have a lot of reason to tune in, and you're going to start to hear and see things. I've got some meetings at Golden Boy this week, regarding them. That'll be fun and energetic to discuss with Oscar and his team over there, Roberto Diaz. So I look forward to doing that this week in planning. But those are all new things and new challenges on the horizon, and ones I look forward to be honest.
This fire just came out of nowhere. Someone lit your fire, man. Someone woke up the sleeping giant, and the opportunity was there, and you dove in, and you cleaned house, man. You put down your cards, and you said, hey, Royal Flush, I want them all. Not one, not two, not three, all four.
I've got plans to pick up a few more guys. Look, I'm blessed. How often do you get guys that are 20-0 already world champions, and two guys going into a world title fight to come to you? I'm blessed and fortunate and just ready to work my ass off for them. But I've got a few other guys that you'll hear about soon as well. And I had to put my time in the sport. I had to do stuff the hard way. Had to grind and be an advocate for a fighter first along the way, and improve myself. And look, people can say what they want out there, but what they can't say is that they can do a better job than me. So that's been proven. I'm gonna outwork anybody else, and I'm gonna get more from my fighter than anyone else. And at the end of the day, that's what a manager should do.
What pushes you? What motivates you? Is it from fighter to fighter, or just event, or when does it strike you, Rick? I mean, do you just see a vision, or you just say, you know what, I'm going to create a vision?
What motivates me are idiots, to be honest. People that say this can't be done. Oh, that guy can't do this. Oh, that guy's just all talk. I'm born and raised in Fresno. Everybody from here has a little chip on their shoulders and something to prove. So I like doing what people say I can't, and I like doing what people think is impossible, and that does motivate me. And I want to leave my own mark someday when all this stuff is done. Just being honest with you. I want to make my mom proud when she opens up a newspaper and continues to read or sees what's getting done. So that stuff motivates me a lot because it's a challenge, and And trust me, it's not all a bed of roses either. There's a lot of learning lessons. The past 8-9 years I've had to go through, and a lot of things to get through. So it wasn't easy just to get to this point.
Well, I tell you what, it's very entertaining on the way. I do follow you, and I do enjoy your comedy side. I think we got the same kind of comedy with the same kind of taste as far as some of the things that you post, man. It's very entertaining, man. So you're also an entertainer because you continue to keep everybody in masses tuned in, informed.
I don't mean to be. I mean, some of it like when these fighters, like I'll get a lot of slack because I'll argue with a fighter or say something, and I'll let the fighters go at it with each other. And I'm like, I'm not going to let the fighters go at it with each other. My fighter's respectful. He's classy. He's not going to lower himself, but I will. So if you're going to talk shit, then make sure that you can back it up, because they'd probably beat me up in the ring, but outside of the ring, they got no chance. None. Some of these guys are fucking brain dead, the stuff that they say. So, that's probably the downfall is, I can't stand when these other fighters are disrespectful or they say stuff that's, just ridiculous, because I will say something to them and put it in perspective for them. So I think that's probably the worst part, the worst thing I do. And while it comes off entertaining, I mean what I'm saying. Like, I'm really upset that these guys take that course, because I'm very respectful. But, when they cross the line and say and do certain things, then, at that point, they've engaged. So that's probably the entertaining part that never was meant to be entertained.
Well, I enjoy your videos. I'm talking about your videos. You'll say, this is so-and-so when this happens, or something when this happens. I enjoyed one of them where I think there was a family of monkeys, and they were taking oranges, and you said, this is what happens when you give away free vouchers to families. Or you, true too, though. or you said, this is what I do when Mr. Jose Ramirez doesn't answer his cell phone. And I see this guy just hitting the punching bag.
I should get some kind of award for that one with Jose dancing. That looks just like him. Some guy that I found on the internet. I don't know if you saw that.
No, I got to look into that.
Yeah, there's a guy dancing on one of my posts. It looks just like Jose. Just some Mexican music. It's hilarious. People love that one. That was hilarious. Even Jose laughed at that.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, because you said a while back in a sentence that Jose was very upset. What kind of this may be an odd question, but people want to know, because I've never seen him lose it. He always stays composed, but you get to see both sides. I never really see him get shooken up.
Only one time, in probably since 2010, since I've been with him, have I seen him lose his cool with a fighter, and that was Alex Saucedo. Alex Saucedo got underneath Jose's skin, and Jose let him have it and just embarrassed the what out of him. That was the only time. The only time.
Wow. Yeah, I thought you were going to say maybe somebody else, but
No. Jose and Regis respect each other. They see each other. They're very respectful and cordial.
Yeah.
But with Alex Saucedo, he got. There's no respect there. There's none. That was probably the only person in time where, he's even lost his cool a little bit. Other than that, he never does.
Yeah. Actually, one of the comments that we have is from Regis Pro Grace. He said, tell Rick I said, what's up?
I like the kid. Just look, I'm telling you, I don't know how to explain it. Like, I would fight with him, argue with him, and mean it, and then just have the utmost respect for him. And if he was like a free agent or he was on the open market, I'd promote the shit out of him. And he's good for the sport is all I can tell you. Regis is absolutely good for this sport. We need people like that. He's smart, he's intelligent, he's also creative, and he'll get in there and talk shit with the best of them and mix it up. But he's a tremendously skilled fighter. So I wish there were more guys out there like that. They help the sport. If they know how to be promoted properly, and then the sky's the limit with guys like that.
No, I agree with you. He's a supporter and a fan of the show. He's been on here a couple of times, and he's very adventurous. I enjoy his videos. He'll jumping off a cliff, wrestling an alligator, swimming with the great white.
Yeah.
A week before the fight, he's rollerblading. You name it. The man's just lives life like it's his last day.
So the one thing that I would narrow down and say why I respect him as a fighter so much is he's promoted himself from day one. Like, he took the initiative himself. he went out there and drummed up press. He went out there and got ink. He'd listen to the smallest radio show, to the biggest radio show, to the middle-sized ones. He would do everything he could to get exposure and put himself out there. When promoters and managers and agents may not have been around him at the time, or with him and not with him, like, he didn't wait for anybody, and he didn't really have anybody, and he did it himself. And that's something that I respect a lot, because aside from a fighter training like they do and the amount of work that goes into it, and then you go home and you're dealing with family and you're half dead, this guy had another job and he was doing it himself, and that's not an easy thing to do. So, you know, that's what I respect more than anything.
No, he
still can't out talk me, or if we have like a verbal spar, and it'd be murderous for him.
Well, actually, I got some great sound bites, man. I'd play them, but I want to get running through this show whenever I brought you up. But one thing I will say about the man is, he's very respectful when you meet him in person, and class act, hands down. I love the fact that when he bought his mom a house and just handed her the keys for I believe, Christmas.
That shit is heartwarming. Like,
yes.
Not very many people do that. They talk a good game, but he went and wrote a check. He went and did those things, and man, it's just you can't help but root for someone like that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I mean, I lost $300 on him when he fought Taylor. Like, I bet on him, and I was like passionately rooting for him. So you can't help but root for somebody like that.
I was pulling for him too, man. I wish he would have pulled the plug early, but you know, he's in there, man, and he did his best, and he lived up to all the hype, man, and he delivered, and you know. The future is the future for him. I want to see what happens. I want to see what exactly takes place. I know Jose still has business in the 140-pound division, and then he wants to move on to some bigger and greater challenges. But let's not overlook the fact that Postol, I mean, he's no slouch at all. And I'm going to be honest with you, Wildcard will love nothing more than to bring those bouts back to Wildcard Gym.
I mean, I think this is Freddie's like 19th attempt on the other side of Jose's corner.
I believe it's his third, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, third, 19th, same thing.
Okay.
But he's trying. So Postol, I don't think anyone's ever stopped Postol to my recollection. So, you know, there's a big statement to be made here. You know, if Jose can go in there and stop Postol, he's going to make a statement, and Josh Taylor is going to be the benefactor of that statement.
Well, you know what? Whenever you look down, and you talk about two warriors fighting, but when you look from the blue corner to the red corner, and you see Robert Garcia and Freddie Roach, you know both fighters are going to be well prepared, and it's going to live up to all the hype, expectation, and it will be an event.
Two best guys in the sport. I mean, literally, like, those are two of the most notable, two of the most talented, two Hall of Famers. I mean, does it get any better?
Yeah, if I had to pick a third, I'd pick Buddy McGirt. But yeah, those two are top. Those two are top.
I can't agree. If I'm a promoter putting on a show,
I only got
Robert and Freddie in the other corners,
exactly.
I'm in heaven.
Exactly. Well, exactly. I mean, can you imagine if one fighter came out and both men are behind him? I always think about that. Who's going to be the fighter that's going to bring these guys together?
Yeah, I don't think any fighter is going to get both those guys in their corner. That's like having two General Pattons. That'll never work.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, it'd be great for the fans just to see that walk into the ring and just blow people's minds. You know,
that's a charity event.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say that.
These guys really are General Patton in their own way. Like, they're the boss. they're not going to share a corner with no one else.
Exactly, and I will add that whenever I go to both their gyms, I mean, they open up their hearts to me in their gyms. Different sergeants, but you definitely know who's boss in each one of individual's gym. But kind-hearted as always when it comes to boxing and talking the sweet science.
Yes.
Rick, I pulled up a picture earlier, and it's a picture of you when you first started promoting. I mean, you might have been maybe 20 years old. I'm not too sure. We're looking at it right now. It's a young you. Josh Koscheck's in the background. You're wearing a pink tie, nice suit. If you can give that young man right there advice, what would you tell him?
Man, listen more than you talk. That's probably the advice I would have given him. In and out of the ring.
Very well said, man. Very well said.
Promoters have a very big problem with listening more than they talk. You're not going to find one, but that's the advice I'd give.
And why is that? Because the determination, they want to be heard, or they wanted to get it accomplished already?
Promoters are, look, everyone doesn't even know what I am. I'm a promoter that knows how to manage. There's a big difference. So I just happen to be a manager that knows how to promote, but promoters are brash. They're aggressive. They have short fuses and tempers. They're very hardworking, real promoters. That's the description of one. And listening is not always their best trait.
No,
that's why they have good people around them most of the time to listen for them, because they know they can't. They know that's an Achilles heel.
Well, I adjusted your post today. I put that slash in there. I don't know if you caught that or not. Promoter / manager, and you can put it in any order that you like.
Promoter / manager / PR person / agent / personal assistant. I mean, there's a whole bunch of slashes you can put, but you're not a promoter unless you're not all of those to begin with. If you take any promoter and put them in a manager's position, they're going to do all those things by nature. That's just who they are.
Well, you forgot one slash, and you do wear a lot of hats. I mean, slash the manager of the Fighter's Voice, but you do wear a lot. You do wear a lot of hats, man, and you want to make sure everything is taken care of.
I do.
And one person that admires what you do is Nancy from Boxing Supreme. She it's a common question. She said, ask him, why is he so awesome?
I'm not awesome. Look, she's awesome. Like, I remember we started at the same time. I told her, this is a true story. When she first started Supreme Boxing, I'm talking about just starting it, I said, this is going to be bigger than you can imagine. Like, this is going to be one of the biggest sites, social media pages, and influencing thing for a boxer there is. I told her that in the very beginning because I saw it. That's the other thing promoters do. They spot good people and good talent. And I was dead on with that. I mean, to see what she's done and Supreme Boxing has done, the reach that they have, how they just touch the entire sport like an octopus in every way, from just sanctioning bodies to relationships to helping them to charitable things to giving guys exposure that never would have got it. They did it all. So that's always fun for me to look back, because, man, I remember when she first started, and I saw it coming.
No, she's very talented, and she makes big and good on every opportunity that comes her way, which opportunities that she creates.
Yeah, I think her biggest trait, though, is that she has a humongous heart. So it all starts with that. Like, she genuinely cares about fighters. Like, that's a real thing. Like, she truly cares about them. So everything that you've seen done stems from that. That's why she's so successful, in my opinion.
No, she's doing a great job, and she's great PR, and she speaks her mind. And we had her on the show, and actually we could win another hour. I actually, when we spoke briefly today, all by way of text,
right.
I can't wait to have her back. I let her know that constantly. Hey, Kilo and Hector Madera, they give their love, and they're saying, hey, Rick's doing all this talent right here. When is he going to sign the Madera brothers, and what advice do you have for both of them?
Man, let me see how to answer. So, hold on one second. My phone's messing up. So, first let me start with saying Kalisto is one of my favorite fighters. Like, I almost say he's like a distant little brother. Like, I've been through so much different stuff with him and just watched him from day one, and it's hard to explain, but like, he's one of my favorite guys. He's relentless. He's fearless, and he really does put everything. He's like a Regis in his own way. He knows how to sell a fight. He knows how to be respectful when he needs to. He knows how to go crazy when he needs to, and he definitely will let his opponent know how he feels and will call him out. So, after after having him on so many different cards that I've put on, and just doing promotions with him, like the one we did at the Seymour Center when he was up for Fight of the Year with Joe Lopez, just so many good moments with him. But probably my favorite moment with Madera is seeing him mature into a good dad. That to me was probably my favorite moment. Like, he really loves his daughter, and he became a good dad. That's all I could tell you. Like, that to me was his biggest accomplishment today. And then his brother, Hector's the same way, in his own way. Little more quiet, but
yeah.
Hector came along after Kalisto, so it was a little bit harder. I remember immensely talented, by the way. He was a super talented prospect. We had him on a Tachi show. He went in there and beat the dog shit out of his guy fast. But, you know, I think he had a mishap. At the weigh-in, he wasn't too respectful and, did a few little things. And early on for a prospect, getting on it, when something like that happens, it, kind of ruins the opportunity next time because there's things that are out of my control. At the time, that wasn't, I think, a good look for him. So that kind of hurt the situation a little bit. And then I know he was, I think, signed to another guy out there in his area. So, he found another manager, promoter out there in the Stockton area, and, he kept fighting and, staying busy and stuff. So I just think that he needs an opportunity again. I think for him, he's so young still that he'll get it, but I think he needs to just seize the opportunity and that's it. He just needs a break or a shot on a decent sized card, to show what he can do again. But look, if he couldn't fight, I would say so right now. I'd say it here. I'd still be his friend and say you can't fight, but no, he's good. He has a chance, and it's one of those situations where he just needs an opportunity. He needs to be ready when it comes because it doesn't announce itself. It'll just be there, and you'll have to be ready for it. But I think he'll get somewhere someday if he seizes that opportunity.
No, I agree with you. Rashawn Jones, trainer, he wants to know, ask Mirigian, who's his 5 top prospects? I want to say you signed off 4 of them, but besides the world champion we have, but who's your top 5 prospects? So
prospects are hard to define, so we got to know what level of a prospect. Like, you have prospects that could already be 20-0 or 10-0, or you've got guys coming out of the amateurs, so it's hard to answer that question not knowing what level of a prospect he's looking at. If it's amateur turning pro, my guy I like the most was Richard Torres. And my definition of a good prospect is not necessarily all skill. It's, do they have the whole package?
Yeah.
Is the kid marketable? Is his storyline good? He has to be able to fight. That's a prerequisite. But that's, for me, there's lots of guys that can fight, but if I don't have those other things, I can't get involved, which is why you didn't see me handle too many guys, over the years, because I was very selective about what would even come my way. I get offers all the time, but I won't waste anybody's time. For me personally, they got to have all that other stuff, and they can't have a crazy or drunk dad that thinks he's a manager. They can't have wild people around them. That's another thing. So I look for guys that have the whole package. Richard Torres has the whole package. He's got a great family. His dad's a boxing guy. The kid is a genius, hardworking. So, that to me would be my number one amateur coming out is him.
It's like a mule, man.
Like a what?
Like a mule.
Yeah. So aside from Richard Torres, that's my pick there. As far as prospect goes, you'd have to give me a prospect under 10-0, over 10-0. I mean, those are all things that, I need to know to answer effectively.
Well, Frank from Fresno, California, Frank Alamon said, well, let's not forget about Ishmael Avila and I'm Jet Blackwell. And when will they be turning pro? And will you assist those two coming out of amateurs into the professionals? They're ready to make their debut.
So those are 2 kids that I'm going to help. I told Frank I would, and I plan to. With Jet, obviously he's a heavyweight, cruiserweight. He's talented also. I think he's right behind Torres in a number of different areas, and he's got Frank around him, who is the most stand-up guy that I think I've met around this area in most boxing to begin with. He's a guy where he doesn't talk much either. He's going to tell you yes or no, and if he can help, and you can take his word to the bank. And he's been there for our fights for I think like 5-6 years. Like, he's helped us when we needed. He's been there when I needed him, and if I didn't need him, he was there if I did. And he's always been just that guy that you can trust and respectful. So without question, I'm going to try to help those 2. And I'm in the process of it now. So we're in a challenging time with COVID, but I think I have some action and some leverage, being that I'm dealing with so many promotional companies right now to get them both a look. Most likely Jet's look might come a little bit easier just because the heavyweight division is so popular, as you know, right now, and him being a good prospect, and also where he is ranking wise coming out of the amateurs, he's going to get probably a quicker, easier look and then I'll have to work on finding a look for Ishmael, just because cards have been cut down from 13 and 14 bouts to 5 now, overall. So I've got to find the right scenario there to get him into, to get him a look. But he'll get his look. I mean, I think he won our WBC amateur belt at the fairgrounds, if I'm not mistaken. The kid's good, but definitely going to help those two without question.
Well, what about Andy Vincent? There's a question here that says, would Rick Mirigian be interested in possibly managing a fighter, a top-ranked fighter, with a couple of close losses that could have gone either way?
Yeah, so Andy and I are friends, and his team. This has been brought to me before. Andy's managed right now by my friend Peter Kahn, who's a great manager. And Andy knows if he calls me and needs my help, I just help Andy anyway. So I've got a long history with Andy. And he knows that. So I think Andy's in good hands now, and if Andy needs anything, he would call, and I definitely would help him.
Yeah. Look for an announcement to be made soon. I spoke to Andy earlier today, and I'll let him officially make that announcement that needs to be made. Rick, when you're walking around, because before you were looking for fighters, I mean, you were promoting Beyonce, George Lopez, filling the masses here in Fresno, California. What actually changed from concerts promotion to the sweet science, which going into it, and you already know for yourself, it's a dark, backstabbing, evil sport, but both yourself and me, I absolutely love it. Every single thing about it. What made you transition from promoting Beyonce to Jose Ramirez?
So you won't find a promoter alive that will not tell you what I'm about to. I have done every type of concert. Beyonce, George Lopez. I've put on rap concerts, R&B concerts with Chris Brown. I've owned a nightclub. I mean, you name it, I've done it in that industry. But there is nothing, and any real promoter would say there's nothing that compares to putting on a major prize fight and the energy and the ambiance around it and what it draws and the people that it draws out. Nothing comes close. So, as a promoter, that's your dream. Your dream is to fill a Save Mart Center with 15,000 people and have a billionaire there, celebrities, and have the place screaming where you can't even hear. The decibels are off the meter. That's what every promoter's dream was, and is. Al Heyman was a concert promoter before boxing came in. Yeah. What do you think prepared him? Why do you think he's so successful at the top of the food chain? I mean, if you can go through promoting rap concerts and R&B concerts and comedians and deal with that, you're being prepared for the boxing world. Now, if you come from that world into the boxing world, you're automatically ahead of someone else that just thinks that they can come into the boxing world and be a promoter. It's night and day. It's like you have a different level of street smarts in the sport. It's not comparable to anything else. So that was my dream. In fact, it started in 2000, and right around when I met Cole. It started right around 2006 or 7. I went to the Mandalay Bay. I was just staying there for the weekend, and a casino person said, "Hey, there's an extra pair of tickets to watch Chuck Liddell, and it's a UFC fight." I'm like, "I don't want to watch this. Like, I don't care about MMA at the time." I walked into that with those free tickets that I got, and as soon as I stepped my foot into that arena, I was captivated. Like, I couldn't believe what I saw. The screaming fans, the energy, the ambiance, the celebrities around, and I was hooked. At that point, it was like, I'm nothing. I'm not a promoter. I don't care if I promoted Beyonce. I'm nothing unless I do this. I won't fulfill my potential unless I've done this. And that right there caused me to call Dwayne Zinkin, get help. I drove to every single shitbag MMA promotion. I'm talking about airplane hangars in the middle of the Santa Rosa Mountains. You name it, putting the puzzle pieces together, talking to other people, networking. Hell, I contacted Mask, who passed away, that owned Tap Out at the time, him and Punk Ass, and I reached out to him and bombarded him with emails, phone calls, so I got him and said, "Hey, I'm just starting out. I need some help. Can you do this? I don't know what I'm doing completely, but I've done this." And these guys showed up for free to my first show, which they charged $20,000 to people, and put out stuff, signed autographs. I mean, it was incredible. That first MMA show, which is that picture that you're posting, which is what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's what started me off. Selling out that, 5,000 person amphitheater when Strike Force at the time with Scott Coker was only getting 1,500 people at the, Sound Arena and Save Mart Center, and other MMA shows were only drawing 800. I came in and did 5,000 with a card nowhere near as good. It had all the other bells and whistles. We had Chuck Liddell sign autographs. We had masks there. We had Casey Olsen and guys like Cole fighting on cards. And I just promoted it. It's natural. That instinct kicks in. Do you know how to promote the other stuff? It don't matter if you're promoting a rap concert, a fight, or you're promoting a baseball card. If you know how to promote, you know how to promote. And so it all kicked in, and that's what started me off, got me hooked, just walking into that Chuck Liddell fight and seeing that energy and feeling it. And just, that's it. That's what did it.
Wow. I mean, that's it. Hey, our levels are a little high there, KP. Well, here's a question. This one's actually, because I always bug you all the time, but this one's actually kind of hard to ask, but I'm going to ask it. It's coming in from Escovedo. He just said, hey, amigo, I'm not going to be able to make it, but I'll be there tomorrow at the show. Give Rick my best. But ask him, if he was promoting the Fighter's Voice, where would he start?
Where would I start? Well, I would sit with you two and give you an immense amount of work and advice, in my opinion, and then I would turn my back and see if you did it. And that's what I would do. I don't know if you guys could keep up. I don't know if you guys can face rejection like I've faced in my time. I get told 100 times no before I get a yes, but my yeses are so successful, they're life-changing. But I don't know if you have that type of personality that can swallow being told no so many times. I don't know if you have that aggressive nature to follow a direction and know that you're going to run into a wall and you're going to have to go through that wall and then you're going to have to go around it or on top of it or climb over it. I don't know if you have that, or Cole. I'm just being honest. Like, not everyone is built to deal with that type of rejection and on a daily basis until they get to where they are. That's what I would do. You asked me, I told you so.
No, hey, but okay, I'll interject since Cole can't. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Shit, Rick, you told me no first, motherfucker, and I kept coming. I didn't go away. And now we're here. And now we're here on the Fighter's Voice, having a good time.
I told you no, but I also told you some other stuff. So,
yeah, you did.
Yeah,
I appreciate
that other
it.
Stuff happened though. I know you appreciate it, and I appreciate you, but I didn't see that other stuff happen. So you asked me an honest question. You can ask me anything. I'm gonna answer it about a fighter or you. So I didn't see you do that other stuff that I'm alluding to right now. I seen you do part of it. But if I'm involved and I'm supposed to be in a situation, part of it ain't gonna work. I want to see you go out there and fail and fall on your ass 15 times trying to get Corona to sponsor your show, trying to get a radio station owner to listen to you, to talk to get in the door. I wanted to see an immense amount of effort on that, because until you do that, you're not reaching your full potential either.
I'll forward you my emails. And you know what? I would love to have Corona. I was actually going to congratulate you on that signing with Corona and Jose.
No, I your emails I get. I send more emails than any human being would imagine. But when the emails don't work, I'm on the phone. When the phone's not picked up, I'm at their door. That's the kind of hustle that I'm telling you that you have to go through first. I think you gave up a little short on a few other items. You definitely have the skill. Definitely have the passion. You definitely know how to network and get out there and get the right person, the right interview, and talk to a superstar. You nailed all that, which is the foundation. But going to the levels that you talk about and dream of, you're going to have to dust off and do that other stuff as well and try. Once someone sees that you're able to deal with that and try that part, then they know. And I'm just being honest. I have to see that part.
Now, I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your opinion. I mean, I do. I asked the question, you answered the question, so I appreciate that. Here's another tough question, and I'm not going to go into the second half of this.
Go ahead, it's okay, just ask it.
No, but I will ask you this. When you first saw Gabriel Flores and you decided to come into the Flores circle, what exactly captivated you from him to the rest of the amateurs that turned pro?
So I knew nothing about him. I got into a fight with his dad about his son. You know, I was arrogant with not knowing who the kid was, and I had said, look, if Gabriel's this good, how come I've never heard of him? And, you know, then his dad had replied and defended his position, saying, you don't know who's good and who's not good out there. So, and then we got into it, and that caught my attention, obviously, because then his dad was that passionate about his son's skill set and level. So, and then so I got a hold of his dad's number and called him, and we talked, and that's how it started. After we talked, I looked at what his dad sent me. Then I read about the kid's, background. I watched some videos, and I drove to Stockton, and we met at a diner. We talked for 3 hours. I approach fighters different than most managers. Once I know a fighter can fight, we're not talking about boxing. Boxing is fucking irrelevant at that point. I need to know who this fighter is, what his story is, where did he grow up, how did he grow up, what lies in his background that not only could be, marketed, but sold, but draw emotion out of people. Because if you're a promoter or even a manager that's at the top level, emotion is what connects a fighter to a fan and a network. You have to bring out that emotion in somebody when they're watching a fight, when they're following somebody. So to me, that's all we talked about. I wanted to know what lied in this kid's background and his dad's as well. And the storylines were what and after I learned all that stuff, I went and made history, and I'm proud to say, I'm proud of myself for getting that done. It was the youngest fighter in the history of the sport ever signed and paid 6 figures to sign on, and the conversation started like this: Rick, you want me to sign a 16-year-old? Are you out of your goddamn mind? Yes, Mr. M, I do, and here's why. And the rest was history. So yeah, that's look, irregardless of them signing with James Prince, I talked to his dad yesterday for an hour. I talked to his dad 3 times. But one thing that, a week, but one thing that we established early on was we respected each other. I respected he has a job to do for his son, and that even if he makes a decision that I don't agree with, he's making that decision from the basis of his son, to help his son. And it may be the wrong decision, but I do know where it's coming from. And I'm not always right. His dad's been right about stuff that I wasn't. But we always talk through stuff, and there always is that respect level. And when you have good communication and a respect level, it allows for a lot of things to take place. So, it wasn't that signing with James Prince was bad to me. It was, what could have been done as part of it. Prince brings a lot of stuff to the table. There's a lot of benefit there. So I think I just wanted a little bit more dialogue and that kind of stuff into it, but I'm not mad in any way. That kid needed something, I'll be the first one there to help. If his dad asked or him asked, and I still do stuff with him. I did a sponsorship deal for him last fight. I'll always be here to figure out stuff for Gabriel. Why wouldn't I? I have no reason not to. So that's how I would explain that situation. Now, was I happy with how some of the other stuff happened? Like, watching ESPN and hearing Andre Ward try to take credit for, the Stockton show and managing, Gabriel and all that. That stuff kind of bothered me a little bit, because I always felt that they should have gave me credit where it was due. That Stockton show on TV, I did that. That storyline about his mother and his life, I wrote that for the producers for ESPN. The stuff up to this point where Gabriel made 6 figures in a fight in Stockton at his level, I helped make that happen. I put that work in with his dad and got the deal done and signed. So I just would have hoped that, they said the right thing. The right thing to do would have said Rick did a good job up until this point, but Gabriel's joined it, this stable, and to do stuff, and that would have been cool, but listening and watching how they handled it, on air, it bothered me a little bit personally, because my heart and soul went into it. And 10,000 people don't show up, and you don't make history and do all that unless somebody's heart is into a project. So that was it. But as far as the dad and Gabriel, I'll do anything for those 2 if they called me.
No, I agree. I'm actually supposed to meet up with a senior in about a week or 2. We have some kind of arrangement, and I talk to him every now and then. He's very respectful, and I will say I would definitely love to have both of you on my table of chess if I was starting a team together.
Too. His dad's funny. His dad talks shit like I do. It's hilarious.
You know what? His dad is. He calls things as if they're not as if they are. I mean, what he says, he visions it and it comes to pass. So that I will say. So let me say this. This is coming from Sean Gibbons. Respectfully, Sean Gibbons, as you know, a heck of a promoter, president of Manny Pacquiao Promotions. And I'm going to read it.
He's a Hall of Fame guy. Sean's a Hall of Fame guy. I look up to him.
Absolutely, and class act. Now let me read what he said, because I mean he said a lot, and I'm going to get to the high points. He's a huge. This is him talking. I'm a huge fan of Rick Mirigian's, and the work that he does for his fighters is amazing. You and Jose, which is Rick and Jose, brought boxing back to the Central Valley like no other. They put Fresno not on the map, but on the world map. So let me say this: if you're a fighter and you want the best manager out there, then hire Rick Mirigian, because nobody fights harder for his fighters than he does, and the best is yet to come. And drink a beer and viva Rick. There you are.
Look, there's not very many guys in boxing that I look up to and respect how I do him. He is the definition of how you treat somebody on the way up is the utmost important. When I very first just started, this guy would take time and sit with me and answer my questions, walk me through scenarios, and help me. He treated me like I was where I am now, like I was when he barely met me. And you don't find that out there in the sport of boxing at all. So I'll never forget along the way. I still call him to this day for advice. He's one guy I call for advice. I don't call too many people, obviously. I'm sure you know that. But that's one guy I call for advice sometimes, because Sean is that guy that knows everything about everything and has been connected to every fighter in the sport. You probably don't even know, but he is. And he's a Hall of Fame guy, and he's like, I call him. You'll laugh about this. He's the Ray Donovan of boxing to me, minus the violence. That's the best way for anyone to sum up Sean Gibbons. Sean is a get it done guy. Period. Solve anything that comes his way. He's Ray Donovan in boxing. That's who he is. But he's just a great guy and someone that is a rare person in the sport. But that's how I would sum him up.
You know what? I will say this. When I first met him in Fresno, California, later on that day, he treated me like he knew me forever. And just doing things with pure class, heard about my story and just interjected and made things happen. He's definitely somebody you want on your side, and definitely someone that you want to look at their walk, because they're making all the right moves. And even when there's a minor setback, there's a greater reward at the end when you continue to watch him progress. And the way he treats people, he's definitely a people person.
Yeah, he is. He loves your story. I can tell you, because wherever he's at in the world, you'll see a Richie post. I don't care if he's with Pacquiao. I don't care if he's in Indonesia. He always will take the time to let you know he remembers you when he doesn't have to. He's at the top of the food chain in the sport. So when it's someone like that's taking their time to remember you, it just shows their character. He treats a janitor like he does a CEO. That's just how he is.
No, I believe you. We need more more people like Sean Gibbons in the sport, and just in the world in general.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So here's a comment question. It's not corny. You've been asked this before. I'm sure you have. What do you want to be most remembered by, Rick?
I'd say I got done what no one else did. Like, I was the guy that if it was hard to do, he did it. Or if it was going to be something that no one thought that could get done, he'd go and do it. Whether it was making a deal, putting a fight on, or getting something done for a fighter. That's, I want to be remembered that I got it done, or I died trying. That's it.
To this day, what's the biggest compliment that you received?
Biggest compliment that I received was that when my mom tells someone else how proud she is of me, there's no bigger compliment.
Amen to that, brother. All the events that you've done, does it taste the same when it's a sold out event Have you had that event where you just looked at yourself and said, man, you can't get more credit than hitting a grand slam, but if I could, I would have. I mean, you just completely knocked it out the ballpark.
Every event that I can successfully get through, I have my own little personal moment where I sit and look out at that crowd in that arena, and I'll smile to myself, and I'll take it in. Every single event I do, you won't see it, no one else will, but I'll take a moment and I'll reflect back on that moment. And there's no bigger rush, there's no bigger feeling for me. There's nothing. I do that every event that I have. And fortunately for me, every event that I have is sold out and has a lot of hype and build around it because I've killed myself doing it. So I hope I can achieve those feelings in the future. It's an adrenaline rush. It's the feeling that I chase, to be honest with you. I chase just to feel that, 2 or 3 minutes of bliss when you look around the arena and you see all the people and all the success from the event. Like, that's a feeling that I chase and always will. Any promoter, though, does that.
You like walking that rope and you tell everybody, take that safety net off. I want to walk it without a net. Is that safe to say?
It's not always the best thing to do, but, I unfortunately I will jump out there, and my mindset is you have to figure it out. That's it.
Well, one of the last questionnaires, then I want to get some comments with you, and then I want you to take us home. I asked you this question about 2.5 years ago, and I'm going to ask you again today. Rick, when you take your shoes off, you lay down and you just say, okay, it's time to turn in. What do you dream about?
What do I dream about?
Yeah, what do you dream about?
I mean, to be honest, what I dream about when I go to sleep is I dream about, my close family members and loved ones just being healthy and safe, as corny as it sounds. Like, yeah. I dream about, not having to wake up and find out someone has cancer. I pray about waking up and not having to find out someone's dying or something like that. So that's honestly what I pray about. Corny probably as it sounds. Like,
no, that's not corny.
I don't dream about making $10 billion or having a sold out show. I don't dream about those things, or, the dreams are very simple, and prayers when I go to sleep. That's what they are.
Okay, real quick. Who in the industry, whether boxer, promoter, friend, advisor, anybody, who reminds you the most of yourself?
Bob Arum, a young Bob Arum.
Okay.
Hands down, I've been told that by so many people. Just a young one. That's probably what I would say. Obviously, I aspire and probably will only be a fraction of what he did in the sport, but I do know that at least at the same age or the same deal, I've done some similar things early on and have that same type of mentality. I just look, I've got to go through my own learning lessons and learn the sport the same way anyone else did. So, I hope to pick up more information, learn how other things work along the way. But definitely I'd say him.
Hey, I forgot this one right here. Robert Garcia said, tell Rick I said, what's up, man? And our fighters are really very happy to be working together on the same team.
Yeah, no. Look, when I had to switch Jose over from Freddie to Robert, it wasn't the most comfortable setting, and I got ridiculed by the media. I got told off by people, but I knew after watching how he interacts with his own fighters and watching how he interacted with Jose that I had to. He treats his guys like family, literally like family. And that bond, aside from the skill, a level of him as a trainer, which no one even has to talk about, it's all that other stuff that made me get that done and do it, because I just knew my fighter would be in the best hands mentally, not physically, but mentally, which is more important than physically to me. And I've learned that the hard way in the sport. That's one thing that guys need to understand, managers, agents. The mental well-being of a fighter is more important than the physical. And Robert provided that mental feeling for Jose that was needed, that Jose was a priority, that Jose was respected, that Jose was cared about. And It's hard to find that in boxing. Trainers have egos like promoters do. You know, trust me. So that is Robert's best quality is if you're a Garcia fighter, this guy's taking you in as basically one of his family members, not just fighters. So that's Robert Garcia. And trust me, the guys that I just got involved with for Robert, I'll be in a fight myself for those guys pretty quick. So I'm gonna do what I can, and hopefully everything comes out good for him. But that's probably the way I would describe Robert. That's why he's so successful. And he doesn't take everybody. So if he takes on a fighter, it's because he sees something in him, and he'll tell a fighter no in a heartbeat. I've seen him a dozen times not take a fighter on because, he doesn't see something, or, he just, trust me, if he brings you in, he's brought you into his family, basically.
I agree. He's a little different when it comes to his circle. And when you're selected to be a part of that circle, it is family. I've heard him numerous times make that comment. And the last time we talked about it, it was Joshua Franco. And
his sons. People don't understand. Like the people that are in his gym, they're world-class trainers already.
Absolutely.
They're just not put out there yet. But his sons alone and what they can do, and the guys in there, it's mind-blowing. Like people don't understand that. If one of them is in a corner and there's two guys fighting on a night, they've got another of the best trainers in the sport in the corner. So out of that gym, it's not a situation of just Robert. Robert has developed his boys and the people in there into world-class guys themselves. And look, that's an incredible feat when you just look at it. It's incredible.
Well, Pete is a boxing encyclopedia. I mean, plain and simple,
yes.
Inside and out. And
yes, he is.
Chip off the old block.
Too.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So, Rick, what do you see Fresno doing about this whole coronavirus? Because this is what everybody's asking. When's the next event? And I keep telling everybody, okay, tune in August 29th. That is the next boxing event that is going to take place. One of our Central Valley fighters fighting. What exactly do you know that you can share with us? Because I know a lot of times you'll hint and you'll post something on IG or Twitter.
Fresno, an event happening in the Fresno area?
Yeah. I mean, fans are asking.
I have no idea. Look, if I couldn't get it done, I can promise to God to you that no one else is. Not right now. I had the Seymour Center done at one point. I had the casino done. I had the county signing off on it. I had done what nobody would have put themselves through the misery to get there. And I can tell you, nobody's going to be doing anything in Fresno. Concerts, shows, events like that. Like, there's no boxing fight that's going to come here and people be able to watch it or be anything of significance. Now, can somebody come in here behind closed doors and do a non-televised show and go through all that? Yeah, that's possible, but is it likely? No, they're going to do it somewhere else. But, it's not profitable or anything like that doing it out of here, but we're not going to have anything for a while, Richard. It's out here. We're in a very conservative spot too. So, California is not a state that is welcoming to these kind of, endeavors. So I don't think we see anything till next year, maybe mid next year, where there's some normality here. Now, I do think in other states you're going to see it happen faster, but not here. Just, there's no way.
No, exactly. You know what? I'm asking for all the people that have stopped me when I'm putting gas, all the people that I see at the marketplace, all the people that have inboxed me, asking me, the same question, and they're thirsty because they've been spoiled of the privilege and opportunity to attend a mega national televised event here in our own backyard.
Yeah, I got close, man. When I was teasing out the Seymour Center, it's because I was close to having it done or had it done. And then things outside of our control canceled it, like this last time. The state getting locked down again, that kind of stuff. Look, for what it's worth, my whole comment on the COVID situation is the media has been our biggest enemy. They have just been, without question, to me, just our biggest enemy. They've found profit in fear, and they've maximized it. So I don't see them going anywhere anytime soon from their new business model. And I just think we're gonna go through a lot still because of it for the next year or so.
I want to take this time and say congratulations to Jessica Miscal. Did you happen to see that fight?
Which fight?
The women's fight that took place this weekend on DAZN.
I didn't catch it. I just read the summaries and stuff.
Yeah, no, it was a great fight. I mean, she took on the undisputed women's fighter and just came away with not 5 but all 6 bouts. And there was a lot of fights going on this weekend. You also had UFC, Top Rank had their show earlier, and then Showtime had their show. A lot of people are talking about the decision. I haven't had a chance to watch it, but the interim WBA title fight, 130 pounds. Yeah. What exactly took place? I'm asking you. I mean,
it's the bad judging that you've seen before, and you'll see it again. Just absolutely atrocious. Like someone was paid off at a strip club or had someone's mother tied up in a basement decision. Just one that made absolutely no sense. I think like after the second round or third round of it being close, there was zero doubt the rest of the way. It's like a joke. But look, it had happened. It'll happen again. And there's just really no explanation for it other than testing the guy to see if he was legally blind or something and never told anyone. There's no way to make a rationale out of it. You just can't figure it out.
Hey, let me correct that last name. McCatskill was her last name. I don't want to chop up her name, man. But, yeah, Jessica did a great job. And, I know you're talking about Rolly Romero. I was actually intrigued and looking forward to watching the fight. After a few rounds, I saw what I needed to say and then I went to the other fight. What's your take on a prize fighter missing weight? And I mean, it's no secret. I'm a fan of David Benavidez. I really am. But a prize fighter.
Am I. Like I know all those guys from early on. The dad, the brothers. Look, it's just unfortunate. I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's hard sometimes. I don't know. The public doesn't know what he struggled with or went through. He does. We don't really know how he was affected from this stuff because every guy is affected different. Jose is affected different with 19 training camps. Other guys are affected taking fights on short notice to meet network deadlines. Like we don't know what he went through. But in a normal setting, I think that the team has a lot of responsibility for that fighter's weight. There's the team is who I look at, not necessarily the fighter. The team is there to put the pressure on, keep them in line, tell them what they don't want to hear. And be there in those tough times to say what they don't want to hear. So, to me, when something like that grossly happens, I look at the team and the surroundings around it. Notwithstanding David's fight, because this is a messed up time period. There are short notices and guys don't get regular camps. So I don't know what took place, and that's a boxing family. So odds are that something happened, time-wise or this and that, because most of the time that family they stay ready.
Yeah, no, I agree. They live and breathe boxing. In the Arizona area.
Yeah.
What exactly would you like to change right now? You mentioned that the judges, and you also hinted that when we talked at the top of the show about the 4 fighters that you did come in agreement with and were able to sign, all from Robert Garcia's Boxing Academy, 3 living in the same town. Who else can you give us? Can you give us a name? What are you working on next? We all want to know, and we're looking forward to it.
I don't even want to hint it out there. That's how big it is. Like there's 2 guys that I'm looking at that is as big as you get. So I just don't want to even bring it up and jinx myself.
They're probably the 2 names that I thought right off the bat, because the minute you post that, you could ask anybody around me. When they were talking about it, I said, hold on a second. I got to figure something out. So I'm putting 2 and 2 together. I'm throwing it out there, reeling back to see what I can get. And actually, I got 2 of them within the hour. And that's only because I was kind of, okay, I'm trying to think. I mean, just put it together. I'm no different from anybody else.
You're not going to guess this part, but you asked me, what would I change? What do you mean? What would I change in the sport if I could? One thing?
Yeah, exactly. Now with the coronavirus on the terms, because a lot of them would test positive and then an hour later test negative.
Yeah, there's nothing I would change with that because it's impossible. But what I would change in the sport, if I could change one thing, and it would be universal regulation and some structure to the sport of boxing as a whole. That would be something I wish I could change or have influence on. And someday maybe I will, but as of now I'm not, of course. But I'd love to see someday that there be a uniform set of rules, like any other major sport, something that holds some accountability to a situation as a whole, so it's not so much the wild, wild west. You know, managers and agents in baseball and football have, I want to say, very easy jobs. I don't mean no disrespect by it, but it's so templated what they can do, you know, the structure and stuff. It makes it very easy to manage 100 guys at once. That's why they can. But boxing is just a wild west. There is no structure. Everything is as different as human beings are from one to another. So having some real structure there, you know, to the sport, where there's pension plans guaranteed and there's retirement plans, there's all those things. That's one thing I would like to see at some point happen to the sport.
Very well said. Hey, I'm checking my line right now. This is coming in right now. Okay. Shelly Hollis from Stockton, California. He said, when this whole coronavirus passes and there's a little bit more freedom, are you opposed to a 24/7 kind of lockdown? He said he needs 3 days to shoot a documentary with Rick Mirigian. Waking up, going through the day, don't got to be in fine detail on your notes, but until that last door closes.
And I was thinking about that today, because the day that I had today was so crazy. Like, I'm literally on the phone, off the phone. I'm working on a messaging campaign for COVID. And then I'm working on Jose's bout agreement. Then I'm working on some other crazy deal. Then I'm yelling at some guy that didn't fix my car correctly the first time. Like, every 10 seconds, there's a different conversation and storyline going on. And it's hilarious sometimes, you know? And it just gets so burned out sometimes that, you know, it's just funny, though. But, yeah, that would be a great idea. And, by the way, if he's from Stockton, I had a fight set in July for Gabriel in Stockton, but the COVID had canceled that as well. But the good news is, and you're hearing it first, that his dad and I are talking about, as soon as we can get this COVID thing lifted, about doing one immediately there. But we had one planned, you know.
No,
that fell through also.
No, that's something to look forward to. I believe you know Shelly Hollis.
Yeah,
videographer that I work with. Yeah, okay. But no, hey, Stockton, California, they're hungry for that. It was a great turnout, and they want more. And this thing has just set back not just fighters or the athletes, but economy, and made us go at it on social media from which president should we vote for? Do Black lives really matter? Black lives do matter. Yes, no, wear a mask, don't wear a mask. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, you'd get arrested for wearing a mask inside the bank, and now they won't even allow you inside the bank unless you have a mask. What's your whole...
locked in. No, it gets worse. I went to the bank. It was Citibank in Fresno. The guy locked the door when we came in. I said, you know that's against the law to lock the door while we're in the bank, right? Like, what if we need to run out of here? You know, well, I'm sorry, that's our new rule here. This was the one on Blackstone and Ashland. I'm like, you're out of your mind, locking us in? Like, it's crazy. Like, you know how we joked around and, you know, what 2012 would look like, or whatever, the Armageddon year. Like, we're living in that year right now. Like, nothing surprises me right now. Nothing. The crazy stuff that's happening now is just, nothing surprises me. Like, I'm waiting to see aliens walking the street, and there's nothing that surprises me anymore. It's that messed up. This is that messed up.
Rick, we're going to test your skill set right now. I don't know if you're watching the show live or anything. Go ahead and put that boat go ahead and put that boat on the monitor, KP. I sent this picture earlier today and to one of our friends, Big Al from Main Events, and I said, "Hey Al, I'm selling this boat as is." And then he texted me back, says, "Where the hell's the other half of the boat?" This is half of a boat. Now you were given one job, one opportunity, and you had to sell this boat. It's not complete. Basically, you put it in water, it's going to leak. It's only half of a boat. Where would you start? What would be your opening sentence?
This is the opportunity of a lifetime for you with this boat. That's where I would start. And then basically what I would tell them is, this half a boat is going to make you more money, and you're going to have more fun with this boat. More people stop and look at it than any other boat on the lake you've ever seen. And then I would just tell them, look, we're going to make the rest of the half of the boat with part of a Ferrari. You know, we're gonna use parts from this and that, and in this boat is gonna stand out. And here's the best part: I've got 4 sponsors lined up to go on the side of the boat, because it's gonna be so impressive, and everyone's gonna look at it and be like, "What is that?" And they're gonna see the Corona logo, and they're gonna see Bobby Salazar's logo on there. And this boat is gonna be paid for from the ground up, and it's gonna make money every month. and we're going to sell ad space on it. And then this boat is going to have a different celebrity boxer on it every other weekend at the lake. So when people see that boat, they know there's someone on it. And then I'm going to charge 30% to get it all done.
And you're going to give out 10 vouchers to give away to the first 10 people that show up. And if they want to upgrade, that's an additional $7.99. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Mirigian at his best, at his finest. And like Sean Gibbons, I'll quote him, the best is yet to come. Rick, unless you want to touch on something, I'm going to let you take us home.
Look, you got me here, so if you don't have any more questions, I don't want to hear nothing about not coming on. So if you need me to stay on the phone for another hour, I gave you my word, I'm here. You want to ask what you want to ask, I'm here. So if you're done, that's fine. But if you still need to go and you've got something else, I'm here to get done what you need, and I told you I would.
No, and I appreciate that. And since you brought that up, yeah, I'm going to leave you here. Rick, what determines you, and we talked about it earlier, how you follow a fighter, how you bring him in and you sign him, you look at him inside and out, what his background was, what he grew up with in talent. When do you ever make the decision to say, okay, I'm going to bypass this fighter may not be as talented, but I love where the career is going and I love his attitude? Are you ready to make that decision? Have you made that decision before, and have you regret not making that decision?
So, a Hall of Fame manager, Shelly Finkel, who I met very early on when I started, he said something to me, and it stuck with me forever. And it's like, he said, Rick, you're going to get to a point where you just don't have time for the aggravation. You don't have time for the stress and negativity. You don't even want to deal with the best deal in the world because there's assholes around the fighter, and you just don't have the time. So that's my decision's made about the assholes around the fighter. That's when the decision is made. Are there assholes I'm going to have to deal with around the fighter? That's when I make the decision. That's the final checking point of a decision, is that part. Because you're never going to have peace or enjoy yourself or the fighter ever get his real value when there's assholes around the fighter that are ass kissers and yes men and always complimenting the fighter. That's just a recipe for cancer and disaster, and just like I had to learn the hard way over the years, you just don't want it around you. You learn how valuable peace of mind is when you can get it. That's probably the most major deciding factor.
I guess it becomes very tough when the fighter, in your eyes, is promising, does have the talent, but it's just not worth the headache, as if to say.
No, and look, there's been some tremendously talented kids that I would have loved to work with, and I know I would have given them the world and changed, but, I mean, they've got a dad that pawns their present, for their future, and just basically thinks he's a businessman, thinks he's a promoter, thinks he's a manager, and he's out there hustling and taking advantage of stuff. And the sad part is boxers are very loyal people in general, and people around boxers, they take advantage of that, parents included. And that's the sad part about it. I've watched so many of those scenarios unfold, and the only thing I wish that we'd see more of is parents be fucking parents and put the right people around their kids to do the right job. Parents should never be not in their kids' careers in boxing. Parents should stop and look and say, let me find the right people to put around my son, and let me just monitor those people to make sure they're doing what they're supposed to. But often what happens is the parents want to live vicariously through the kids. The parents want to be the fighter. The parents want to be the businessman. The parents want to have their ass kissed by the promoters, and they think they're somebody and doing something when all they're doing is destroying their kids' careers. And it may not even be the parents necessarily. It could be the brother or the coach or someone else. But in good settings, good parents, they make sure that their son or has the right people around them. And they put the puzzle pieces around that fighter, and they keep those people in line. If they stray a little bit, the parents will get on them, but they never pretend to know a job that they don't. It's like, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but a guy working at a drive-through trying to perform open heart surgery thinking he's a doctor. That's the best way to describe it. If your son is sick, you go and get a doctor to operate on him. you don't go and get the guy that works at Jack in the Box, do you? And that's what happens. You know, they have guys that work at Jack in the Box doing the operation, or they're trying to do it themselves. And, you know, that's ruined more boxers' futures and careers than anything a promoter could do, a manager can do. Doesn't even come close. People around a fighter have ruined more fighters' careers that way than anything else there is. And it's unfortunate, but, you know, you don't have to have a degree. You don't have to have training. You don't have to have anything to go in there and try to represent a boxer, and they exploit that.
Rick, you always do things on your own, and you always seem to but you do have an inner circle. You have those that are close to you, and those that you trust, and those that you just do business with. When do you enjoy just alone time? When do you have that time of just you, and how much time? How many times a year do you get that? Like I know a lot of times you'll post something and said, you got to see this picture. It's breathtaking. And I'm thinking, okay, he's finally doing something to relax. When do you get that time? Do you make that time, or you allow yourself just to be human sometimes?
I wish I knew when I get it. It happens randomly. A day will pop up. 2 days will pop up where there's just this natural like downtime where I can't do anything because everyone else is busy. So during those times, if I see it, I'll try to take advantage of it. And, you know, those random times, whether it's like driving to Lake Tahoe or going to the mountains or whatever it is, like, you know, those are the best times, but they're never planned, and they're always very, very, very random.
No, exactly. Especially now. I mean, we just got to go with the flow of things. You really can't even plan anything. You never know what town's going to be closed or what rules are going to be changed as we go. And we talked about earlier about you being locked in at the bank. People seem to not only just not breaking the law, but just they're losing sight on just human life. Period, man. I mean, people going back and forth. Somebody had post something and longtime followers and supporters, they no longer follow them or support them anymore because one made this decision to wear a mask and one doesn't want to wear a mask, and it's the media. It's breaking.
The media
exactly.
The media is the biggest catalyst of the chaos that there is. The media is the first one there to exploit something and the last one there to cover something decent and of human interest or good during this time. There's none of it. It's all just blasting out the whatever is bad that they can find out there, making the public panic to control everyone like robots. It's just horrible. And until we get someone in office that can control the media and stop some of the nonsense, we're going to be in this psychotic time frame for a while. So, I mean, it doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon, even with these elections that we have or anything else. Restoring order does not seem like it's anywhere near the horizon. No, not at all. You know, it's sad that this is our norm, but like we're in our norm right now.
No, and everybody's going with the flow. Everybody's just kind of taken back by it, and everybody's doing the best that they can. I mean, it's impossible for us to go buy Lysol unless you're a doctor or unless you're an elderly person. But a person like me and you, at the time we go, it's all gone. And
mark my words, as the winter comes up now, when the normal flu season would have 10 billion normal flu people, every goddamn flu episode, the media is going to call COVID. I mean, they are going to use this to their benefit. Watch. They're going to be the Bob Arum and Don King of promoters with anyone that sneezes from September to December. And they are going to flood the market with so much BS that it's just, I know it's coming, you know, and it's not going to do anything but make things even worse for us all, you know. But that's what I think is in our near future, is dealing with the media's perception of the flu season.
Okay, you've been asked right now, and you've been granted the opportunity to walk in with these fighters are both going to have respectively their ring walks. Which fighter would you love to walk in with? We're talking about, and which fighter will you be walking in with if granted that opportunity? Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez?
I'd walk in with Teofimo Lopez, and then I would leave with Lomachenko and the belts.
Okay, Don King, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali.
Look, Lomachenko's manager, or Teofimo's manager, he's a great guy. He's got a great manager, David McWater. Yeah. So it's hard from that standpoint because, you know, I like the setup there because of him, but it's like I can't. There's just something that doesn't allow me to write off Lomachenko and dismiss like he's some old lion in a fucking cage ready to die. Like, to me, I can't. I don't have that vision of him. I still see him dancing circles around people, dominating them. And look, did Linares let him have one? Yeah, it happens. But he still dominated the fight. He still dominates everyone he's fought. So to me, I just can't see. I just can't see him like getting knocked out or losing the way that a lot of people are projecting. I mean, I think he does what he does. He boxes his way with his experience to that, you know, to that ending. I don't know, just my opinion. I mean, that's the fun part of the sport. But if it came down to the hyping up the show and walking in the ring, I'm walking with Teofimo and his dad. No one's going to beat that. That's a show.
No, it is a show. Actually, I got an interview that I'm going to be releasing leading up to that fight with Teofimo's dad. Very heartwarming, very straightforward, and confident man.
I told his dad in New York. I saw him when we announced Jose's contract signing this past January at that Crawford fight, you know, in New York. I saw his dad in the hotel, and we talked for a minute. And I said, you know when things changed and I didn't think you were crazy? Because his dad, he came up to me in Fresno at my own show and said his son was better than Jose and this and that. And I just said, okay. You know, so I paid him no attention to it. And then, you know, seeing he had a lot of outbursts after. But I told him, I said, you know when I became your fan is when you opened up and you let people see who you were in that personal interview and why you did stuff and how you grew up and how your son, how you raised him. I said, at that point, I was a fan of yours because you let us in that hardened circle and it made me understand why you are the way you are and respect it. And I told him that, and I'm a firm believer of that. His dad is a very unique person, and the more he opens up, the more you can't help but like him.
Is this who you are, Rick? Have you opened up?
I'm transparent. Yeah, I don't think there's too many times where you've seen me not wear my heart on my sleeves or tell you how I feel, and that doesn't always work in my personal life, but that's how I am. Yeah,
I mean, you don't care what people think.
I mean, I care what people think to an extent, but not enough to compromise my own feelings or, you know, not communicate to them how I feel. I'm just a firm believer of let's cut to the chase. If you feel that way, tell me. If you're feeling this way, tell me. If you want to do that, tell me. You know, I just don't like the false communications and people not being who they are. So, you know, I just try to be who I am, and that's you're gonna know how I feel and where I stand when we talk on just about anything, and I just think that's the best way to do stuff. And I think Teofimo's dad's like that a little bit. You know, that's why I said the more he opens up and the more you share your interviews, it'll just continue to do that. I think the public will love him even more.
Well, I love this interview that you're doing today. A lot of people that do know you probably say, oh, yeah, well, that's Rick. But a lot of people, they don't. They just see this guy walking around in a suit, looking like Pet Bull with those glasses. And they really don't know deep down what you do for a living or...
I don't even know what I do for a living if you ask me.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a man that makes most of what he has. It doesn't take no for an answer. Finds angles, finds shortcuts without anybody getting hurt. Will remove a tag off an item just to put it right back, and you will never notice it gone.
God, damn, you're making me sound like a drug dealer and thief right
now. No, I'm not. I'm just you're a person that just makes things happen, man. And you do a lot for people. I was about to get to the part where, I mean... that
was good. You got to stop it there. Just a person that gets stuff done.
Okay, I will.
I need to use that.
Well, that's what you do need to do. But personally, I do love that fight for cancer in Fresno, California. I mean, you made me buy a purple shirt that I only wore one time.
That was for my mom, you know that. So I had to do something at some point, you know, for her, and that was a dream for me to accomplish. That was an absolute real dream and bucket list item to do that.
Okay, I'm glad you bought a bucket list before I let you go, man. Give me two things that have been checked off already, and what's on top of your bucket list today, right now?
I couldn't give you two things because there's 200 things that I've chopped off my bucket list. But if I had to see what's left on my bucket list, that's That's hard. I think have kids would be one. That's a bucket list. And then I think getting into a position in boxing at some point where the big guys are, where they ended up, where Heyman ended up, where Arum ended up, where Hearn is. That's my bucket list here. I've always looked for that scenario. Now, Eddie is an incredible promoter. I'm a fan of Eddie's. I honest to God, I mean that. He's a tremendous promoter, but he also had a father that was a promoter, and he was able to be in a situation to learn and develop stuff. And I always use the analogy, if I was Arum's kid or I was Barry Hearn's kid or something to that extent, and I got to grow up in that with who I am, oh my God, I would have loved to have seen what would have happened. But I think for me, I want to end up in that position someday, and I think that's the ultimate professional bucket list, is to graduate into that position someday. But I know that's going to take an opportunity to get into a mentored position to where someone wants to share intricate details and that type of knowledge with me to build that portion of me. Look, you can be smart and you can get stuff done in boxing, and I've done a lot. I've done multi-million-dollar deals in and out of the ring. I've put on fights by myself that these promoters have 50 people literally in their office that can't do. I've done all that. But what most people never get to do is understand truly how those intricate details work, because at the end of the day, boxing is no more than entertainment, and all these promoters are doing at the highest level is providing programming and entertainment for television. That's all this is. So that level is where I want to graduate to and get to someday, because I know with the levels I've already been through and accomplished, that once I get to that level, I know I'll be able to perform, and I know I'll be able to do things that are amazing. But I've got to get that opportunity, and I've got to earn it at some point and find the right scenario. But that would be my bucket list, is to end up there. That information is guarded like Fort Knox. That information is like the Mason Society. I mean, that information is getting into a club that very few people ever get to in position. So, and it's guarded. So I just hope my opportunity opens up someday to do it.
No, hey man, only on the Fighter's Voice, man. We got Rick Mirigian to tell the world exactly what's on his bucket list. You've had a lot of interviews, but I don't know if you had them quite as detailed as this. And I'm thinking it's because of the relaxation that you have, and just know that we offer a platform. And
I'm not relaxed, first of all, and this is the most detailed one.
Yeah.
Because I regardless if I talk to you once a year or not, I still would do anything I can for you, or if it's serious, try to do what I can. So. But definitely I haven't had this type of interview, and probably wouldn't with anybody. So, but yeah, that's my dream bucket list. That's the final one. Just end up in that position.
No, and I'm going to go ahead and end it right there. I will say this, personally, you don't even need to comment on it. I just want to say it, Rick. I do want more than Fresno. So just know that. And two, I appreciate you taking the time coming here, because you're always busy, and you are a man of your word. And there was free time, and what better time to come on and drop that news about those 4 fighters. I just know there's 2 more floating around, and I guess we'll just have to read your post or a couple hints, or I'll just have to continue to further do my homework on you.
The only thing I can tell you to answer that is that you can't. I'm not the person to talk to. I'm the person that I have to see something. I'm lied to on a daily basis so much you wouldn't even believe me. I can't even trust half the conversations I have with people. I only can go off of actions at this disturbing point in my life. So it's not what you tell me, it's what you show me or what I see. So I'm just throwing that in there. So I'm always paying attention to a lot of things, but I don't want to hear it. I want to see it, whether it's about a fight, a personal issue, or whatever. Just, people have got to speak more with their actions and not their words. The world will be a better place.
There it is, there, man. And I did give you that, so go ahead and we got to have Al make some shirts, man. I can't wait to buy one of them that says Team Mirigian, because now you're building that stable,
you
man.
You might get shot if you wear that. You better be careful to carry a gun if you walk around with a Team Mirigian shirt.
Come on, your fighters are going to be the first ones wearing that because they're part of that team, just like like Robert Garcia's boxing academy.
No, I'm part of their team.
Very
look at it that way.
Very well said, but I will add this too: iron sharpens iron at the end of the day, and it works.
That's definitely true. You get a group of talented people around each other, which is rare, and you just see fireworks and magic happen. That's why I was blessed with Jose.
Yeah,
for that reason alone.
Exactly. Well, maybe later on a personal note, I'll pick your brain on putting together proposal letters, because that seems to be the speed bump right now. But I appreciate
letters
you.
Ain't gonna do it. No letters, man. You track that person.
You asked me for a letter.
No
You asked me for a letter.
Though,
okay.
Forget the letters.
Okay.
You identify the person that you need to get to, and you don't let anything, come hell or high water, stop you from getting to that person. And if you get to that person and they tell you that no, then that's when I'll look at you and be like, I'll just smile and be like, okay, now I see. But that's the letters and the emails. They're never gonna work, to be honest with you. To reach some of these guys, you're gonna need to. You're gonna have to identify them. You're gonna have to call them. Better yet, call someone around them first that knows them to get on their radar even easier. And that's good advice for anybody. When you're trying to reach a bigwig, when you're trying to reach a person of substance, the number one way that you will meet that person and get to them is with the right hand man around them. That's it. People are so confused out there. How do I get to this person? I can't get a hold of this guy. This person, I can never talk to him. No, you're not supposed to. He's not supposed to talk to you because he doesn't have time. But if you talk to the guy around him, you talk to his right hand man or a person that his secretary that handles his stuff, then you're gonna get that time with him. That's the person you need to focus on any deal you're trying to make or any thing you're trying to accomplish. Target the person around that person first, then you'll get there.
Well, I thought I did accomplish it. That's why your ass is on the show today, because I've been trying to get next to you, and I don't want to show up at your mom's house with that address you gave me, but I'll keep knocking to you. Say, Richard, just go away. She has your shirt,
though, by the way. She loves it.
Well, have her post a picture there, man, and we'll post it, man. I'm glad she likes that.
Tomorrow, and I try not to go by as much now, just so I don't accidentally pass something to her in her condition.
Yeah, but, no, that's absolutely right.
I'm going to go by tomorrow. I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Okay, man. Hey, man, appreciate the time, man. Hey, Rich Ortiz, your host of The Fighter's Voice, the only voice that matters. We're simply knocking them out like Rick Mirigian. It's a wrap here, Fresno, California. Thumbs up for Richie.
Never down for the count. It's just another wrap. Thanks for listening to The Fighter's Voice radio show. Catch us again next week.
Same when, same how.
And always stay connected to The Fighter's Voice on social media. So, on behalf of special guests and the whole crew right here at The Fighter's Voice radio show, saying see ya next week, right here on The Fighter's Voice.